Everyone in the Galactic Hall swore they saw it happen, yet none of them could explain how a human child had managed to slice through what their most advanced weapons couldn't even dent. 12-year-old Riley Hensworth stood alone in the center of the Galactic Council's exhibition hall, a place so massive it looked like 3 football stadiums stitched together. Instead of bleachers, shimmering platforms floated high above, each carrying clusters of alien spectators. Some had wings, some glowed like molten glass, others hovered like drifting mist. Every single one of them now stared at the slender human girl holding an ancient sword. Riley gently placed her great-grandfather's katana on the polished metal stand. The blade was centuries old, its silk-wrapped handle worn smooth by generations of use. Under the hall's bright lights, the steel shimmered like it held a pulse of its own. To humans, it was a priceless artifact. To the galactic audience, it was a joke. Riley saw her mother in the human observation deck, giving an encouraging thumbs up. The small gesture helped barely. Her heart still pounded hard enough that she wondered if the aliens could hear it. Earth had been admitted to the Galactic Council only 6 months earlier, and each new species was required to showcase part of their cultural heritage. Riley's essay about her family's katana had won the national contest, earning her the honor of representing Earth. At least, that's what she thought. Until now, standing under thousands of glowing eyes, her courage felt more like a liability. Then the laughter started. It came from the front platform, where the Vrex warrior caste sat towering 8 foot tall. Beings with metallic blue skin, for muscular arms, and armor that hummed with internal energy. Their leader, Commander Thalos, pointed at the katana with unmistakable amusement. His translator projected his deep voice for all to hear. Is the human child serious? This metal stick is their cultural treasure. More laughter, more whispers. Riley's cheeks burned. An insectoid scholar clicked its mandibles. Our people abandoned blade weapons 17,000 years ago. This is primitive. A trio of fluffy, bear-like creatures murmured something about sentimental relics and backward civilizations. Riley swallowed hard. She wanted to disappear. The hall abruptly quieted when Commander Thalos rose to his full height. The energy weapons on his belt glowed bright enough to cast shadows. When he stepped forward, the floor trembled. "Child," he said, "I intend no insult to your species, but this object is obsolete. It cannot harm even basic armor." Riley stayed silent. Thalos motioned to one of his assistants. Moments later, a floating cart rolled out carrying a humanoid dummy, forged from reinforced carbon titanium composite material, strong enough to withstand plasma rifles, acid projectiles, and military lasers. Its surface shimmered with embedded nanobots already at work repairing previous scorch marks. "This," Thalos announced, "is a standard galactic combat dummy. If your ancient blade can leave even a scratch on it, I will offer a formal apology." Riley felt a small spark of hope, until he continued, "But if you fail, as you certainly will, I will report that. Humanity's attachment to outdated tools proves you are unfit for our advanced combat. Programs Earth's application to the Galactic Defense Initiative will be rejected." The entire hall gasped. Riley felt her throat tighten. This wasn't just about her anymore. If she failed, She wouldn't simply embarrass herself, she would weaken Earth's standing in the galaxy. Her mother's face went pale. Mr. Peterson, Earth's diplomatic representative, was typing frantically on his datapad, likely searching for a loophole to stop this disaster. But nothing could be done. The challenge had been issued publicly. Backing down now would be interpreted as cowardice. Riley inhaled slowly, remembering her grandfather's voice. A blade has no strength of its own. The strength comes from the hands holding it. She stepped forward and met Thalos's gaze. "I accept your challenge." The hall erupted in excited chatter. Aliens placed bets. Some predicted the blade would shatter. Others speculated she'd faint before making contact. Instead, Riley walked several feet away and knelt. Confusion rippled through the hall. A reptilian alien hissed. "Is she surrendering?" She ignored them. Kneeling, she placed the sheathed katana before her, hands resting gently on her thighs. She breathed slowly, deeply, the way her grandfather had made her do before every lesson. In-out, letting fear drain away. Her surroundings blurred. The alien eyes, the floating cameras, the energy hum of Vrex armor. All of it faded until she could hear only her heartbeat and her breath. When she rose, something had changed. She moved with quiet certainty. Even Commander Thalos paused. Riley unsheathed the katana. The hall glowed as the blade reflected the overhead light. She held it upright, hands steady. "Before I begin," she said, projecting her voice, "you need to understand what this sword truly is." She explained the centuries of craftsmanship, steel folded thousands of times, the hardened edge, the flexible spine, the unique Hammond pattern formed during tempering. Alien scholars leaned forward, intrigued. She demonstrated basic stance. Feet grounded, grip relaxed but firm. Body aligned as though the sword were an extension of her spirit. "This blade does not cut because it is sharp," she said quietly. "It cuts because the person wielding it commits completely." Then she faced the dummy. Her breath slowed. Her shoulders relaxed. Her mind sharpened like the blade itself. She moved. It was too fast for most aliens to see a blur of steel and controlled motion. The sound that followed wasn't a clang or a thud. It was a whisper, like air splitting open for a fraction of a heartbeat. Riley froze in her final stance. Arm extended, blade steady. The dummy stood still. Then, a faint line appeared, straight, precise, impossibly clean. A collective gasp filled the hall as the dummy's upper half slipped sideways and crashed to the floor. Silence, utter, complete silence. Even the translators fell quiet. Commander Thalos approached slowly, reverently. He touched the cut surface smooth as glass. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No galactic tool leaves a cut this clean." Riley cleaned her blade with a cloth she kept tucked in her belt. "It wasn't the sword," she said. "It was the discipline behind it." Aliens across the hall began murmuring, astonished, impressed, even frightened. Riley lifted the katana. "This blade represents centuries of dedication. Humans have always mastered skills not because they are easy, but because they demand patience. What cut that dummy wasn't technology, it was commitment, practice, and focus." Thalos bowed deeply, performing the Vrex gesture of respect. "Riley of Earth, I retract my earlier judgment. Your species is not primitive. It is formidable. Some aliens applauded. Others exchanged uneasy glances, newly aware that humanity might be far more dangerous. Then they assumed dangerous not because of weapons, but because of willpower. Riley placed the katana back on the stand. She didn't know it yet, but the entire galaxy had just rewritten its understanding of humans. All because of one perfect cut. The galaxy now respected humanity, but respect was only the beginning. The applause had barely faded when a hidden sensor deep inside the fallen training dummy blinked awake, detecting something it hadn't registered in over 1,000 galactic cycles. Riley was still trying to calm her racing heartbeat as she stepped off the exhibition platform. The Galactic Hall buzzed with frantic energy, alien diplomats exchanging rapid messages, warriors analyzing her cut in slow motion, scholars arguing about molecular separation. Her mother pulled her into a tearful hug. Riley, that was incredible, she whispered. Riley wanted to smile. She wanted to relax, but something inside her felt off, like someone or something was watching her. She glanced back at the arena. The two halves of the dummy still lay on the metallic floor, split perfectly. Council technicians were scanning the pieces, trying to understand how a blade could defy technologies thousands of years more advanced. Then she noticed it, a small glimmer, a flicker, like an eye-opening. For a moment, the carved surface of the dummy shimmered and a thin, red light blinked twice. Then it went dark. Riley blinked. Did I just imagine that? Before she could investigate, Mr. Peterson rushed toward her, tablet in hand. Riley, the council wants to meet with you privately, immediately. Why? Because you just changed Earth's political status, he said, looking pale. And some species are suddenly very interested in you. Riley didn't like the sound of that. The council's private chamber was circular, with a floating holographic table at its center. Representatives from dozens of species faced her, some curious, some thrilled, some unsettled. Commander Thalos stood behind her like a mountain-sized bodyguard. Chairwoman Letheria, tall, crystalline being, spoke first. Riley of Earth, your demonstration has triggered unusual data feedback from our security systems. Riley frowned. What does that mean? Lethery turned to the hologram. A projection of the sliced dummy appeared specifically, the exact molecular point where her blade made contact. We detected an energy signature, Lethery said, one only recorded once before, during an event known as Protocol Emberfall. Murmurs swept across the chamber. Riley's stomach tightened. Protocol? What? Thalos lowered his voice. It is a legend, one most species hoped would never become real again. The hologram zoomed in further. A symbol flashed across the display, a spiral resembling a coiled dragon. A symbol Riley had seen many times. On the guard of her great-grandfather's katana. She froze. That mark, that's on my sword. The chamber erupted in alarm. Several diplomats stood so quickly their chairs clattered. Others whispered frantically into comm devices. The crystalline chairwoman raised her voice to restore order. This sword, Lethery said carefully, is not simply an Earth artifact. It carries an ancient galactic seal. Riley blinked in disbelief. My great-grandfather forged it. How could? Phalos interrupted. No human forged that blade. Silence. Riley felt cold all over. What are you saying? Your sword, Phalos said gravely, is one of the 7 Ember Blades weapons created thousands of years ago during the Great Cataclysm. Weapons designed to channel pure willpower. Only beings with extraordinary focus could awaken them. Riley's pulse thundered in her ears. My grandfather always said the sword chooses the wielder. She whispered. Lethery nodded. He was not wrong. The hologram changed again, now showing an ancient war. Giant serpentine machines clashing with armies of armored warriors. Planets burning. Stars collapsing. Riley stared in horror. What is this? History, Phalos said. From an age erased from most records, Lethery added. The Ember Blades were created to stop a species known as the Umbral Sovereign, a race capable of absorbing energy, consuming technology, and wiping out entire civilizations. Only the Ember Blades could harm them, Phalos said, because the blades drew power from the wielder's inner resolve, not technology. Riley stepped back, shaking her head. But Earth, we had no idea any of this existed. Your blade should have been lost, Lethery said. But somehow, it ended up on Earth, hidden, sleeping. And you, Phalos said, staring at her with unsettling intensity, just awakened it. The chamber darkened as Lethery lowered her voice. 3 hours ago, a long-range sensor detected a spatial distortion near the outer rim. A hologram displayed a dark, swirling mass approaching a distant star system. Riley's throat tightened. What is that? Phalos answered grimly, an umbral signature. The room's temperature felt like it dropped 10 degrees. Riley whispered, So, they're returning. Lethery nodded. And your cut-triggered protocol Emberfall, a warning system created by the ancient council. Riley's mind reeled. Why me? I'm just 12. No, Phalos said. You are something rare. Your focus, your discipline, your emotional clarity. You awakened a weapon meant for warriors far older and stronger than you. He stepped closer. You are now the registered wielder of an Ember Blade. Riley felt dizzy. Does that mean I have to fight? Lethery exchanged a grim look with Phalos. It means, she said slowly, the galaxy may need you. Suddenly, the chamber doors blasted open, startling everyone. A scout from the crystalline species rushed in. Breathless, Chairwoman, the sliced combat dummy, something is happening. Riley's heartbeat spiked. The scout projected a live feed. The 2 halves of the dummy vibrated on the floor. The nanobots designed for self-repair should have been reassembling the dummy. Instead, they were forming a shape, long, serpentine, shadow-like. The technicians backed away in panic as the nanobots twisted into the shape of a small, dragon-like creature made entirely of dark particles. Its head turned. Its eyes glowed red dot, then it spoke in a voice that crackled like static. The blade has awakened. The Sovereign rises. The feed cut out in a burst of sparks. Riley staggered backward, throat dry. Phalos whispered in horror. It has begun.